All I wanted was a little teeny drive down the driveway, go to the end of the driveway, turn around and come back, just so I could get a little test of the transmission, just so I could get a whiff of what it's like to drive my wagon. We got a problem underneath the hood, and it's not the transmission. The problem is definitely in the carburetor. So now, rather than doing what I was going to do today, we're going to work on a carburetor. So there, what you get.
All right, so we are having some issues with the carburetor. Jeff's gonna fire it up and see if we can recreate it.
A little bit of squeezy squeeze on the gas.
All right.
This is what happens, because right now it's running fine. Choke's operating great. Idle maybe a little bit high on choke, but it's supposed to be spitting fuel out of that vent tube on the very front of the carburetor, that thing that's sticking up at the very front of the choke horn. There's no fuel coming out right now. Cam and I are probably, I don't know about right now, but I am a little befuddled by that. 2 weeks ago when we tried to move this car for them to put the building up back behind us, it was barfing enough fuel that I was concerned that we needed to change the oil. I guess if you just leave things alone long enough, they'll fix themselves. I don't know what to do at this point, because we were going to give you a video on how to diagnose and fix that problem. And I don't have the problem anymore, so it's going to be kind of hard to show you how to fix it. But I guess what I will do is I will show you where the problem is at, and we'll go at it from that angle so I can show you what I was going to show you, even though I can't show you what it's supposed to be doing, but it's not doing right now. I really don't know. It should not do this. It should not have done this. It was puking bad. I mean, like we had a geyser to about right here at one point on this vent bowl. Now this is what we're talking about. If you're having a fuel delivery issue where it's running like crap, it's black, or even worse, white smoke out the tailpipes, shut it down. Pull your air cleaner off and check that right there while it's running temporarily. Like shut it down, bring it in the shop, or set it in the shop, and restart it just briefly and see what happens at this point right here. If you get a ton of fuel coming up out of that right there, that means you have a needle and seat problem, which is right here on the carburetor. Everything that flows in for your fuel comes in through here, runs to this point, and that controls the float system on the car. Now I'm going to go grab a different float, because I am not touching that sucker if it's running this good. Leave your B. I'm going to go grab a different float, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with needle and seat. Now what I've got on the fender is a 4160. I wanted to show you this one because it is a little bit different. Ignore the front bowl, because this is off of a Motorcraft carburetor, and I just took the bowl off of this carburetor to try on a different car. It didn't work, but that's beside the point. What I wanted to show you is that the float situation is the same. The float is operated off of a needle and seat float like this. Now the difference is that they have two different needle and seat assemblies for Holleys. This is a needle and seat for a 4160. This is a needle and seat for a 4150, which is the more prevalent and popular carburetor as far as performance is concerned. And what can happen on either one of these, and I'll take this one out of play, as you're running the car, this means that you're full. In other words, you got enough fuel in there, and as the fuel drops, it'll go down this way and it will open up, and that will allow fuel into the bowl. Now what's going on a lot of times is if you let the car sit for a while, you'll have an issue with the float sticking open like this and all the way down. One thing I've tried to do in the past is go into the sight hole on the side of the carburetor and jiggle the float, and sometimes that will loosen it up and it'll allow it to operate normally. That's not always going to work, especially with today's fuels. You can have a real issue with that, because what you're trying to do is to get this thing to where it's as mobile as this one is. This is a brand new one that is in my parts box that we talked about on the EFI versus carburetor. If you want to check that one out, look at the link below me, and it's also in the description below. So what you're trying to do is to get that thing to loosen up. You may end up having to pull everything off of there and work on it to get that to do what it's supposed to do. This one was actually stuck when I pulled it out, and when I set it down, it loosened up and opened up. But you'll notice that it's not dropping. I have to flick it or something to get it to drop into position, which tells me it's not in great shape. So that means that I would probably want to go in and replace this needle and seat assembly and put a new one in there. You can also see that the O-ring on here is pretty crusty and nasty and old. It needs to be done as well. So you'd want to go in and put a set of O-rings on this. These have two. They have one up top and one down here at the midpoint. The 4150s do not. They have just the single one. Pull this one back out of the box here. You'll notice that there is no O-ring up top. There's just a single O-ring about midpoint. And that's what you're wanting to see out of a needle and seat to keep good float operation. Now, you go and you replace a needle and seat and you want to adjust it. My best thing to do is I like to pull the bowl off. I know it's kind of a pain in the ass on one level, but on another level, it's actually nicer because then you can take the assembly, set it on its nose on top of it like this, and do your adjustments from here to get a nice level float. You're good on position if this is sitting level and flat across here. You just kind of side it and screw it into position, set the nut on it, and you should be good to go. And that's what I would recommend doing. It's a lot easier than trying to sight set the float after you put a new needle and seat in there, because it's really hard to know exactly where that thing's sitting. But if you do it here, you're assured that you got good position. Also, what you might want to do is while you got it off, if the car sits a good bit, is to pull off the accelerator pump here and check that pump to make sure you've got good operation on it. They have alcohol pumps that are available, and I don't know if they do or don't work better, but I'm going to try one on one of these carburetors that's a Holley to see if that alcohol pump holds up better than the ones that's on here, because this is the standard rubber style, and a lot of times when they sit up, they don't hold up real well. All right, now one more thing I wanted to talk about on the carburetor gasket sets. Get the blue gaskets that Holley sells. These will come off of there. The old fiber gaskets that they had and the old cork gaskets out beyond that were horrible. They're really tough to clean off the bowls, and they're really a pain in the butt. These blue gaskets that they've got, though, these work really nice. They separate well. Good investment when you're doing it. Also, another thing to have in the box, a tool kit. Like I showed you before, get the Holley kit. You'll be much happier for yourself, I swear.
Well, this is not how we wanted it to turn out, but this is the better way for it to turn out.
No, I wanted it to turn out like that. I just didn't think we were going to get there
that quickly.
Quite that quickly. I'm really worried because we actually did the cheesy thing. Mm-hmm. We actually just let it sit for 2 weeks with fuel in the bowl.
Yep, cleared right up.
And cleared up.
So, tech tip Saturday. Be lazy. It fixes itself.
You know, and I can't argue with that. Yeah. I mean, lazy seems to work because it fixed itself. Yeah. I was really blown away when I first cranked it over. I'm thinking, because we rolled it down here, we thought we were going to have fuel barfing everywhere, and
this has been cold-hearted almost every time.
And now it
fired
right off, and I don't know.
Didn't get any backfire, no fire through the carburetor.
I'm confused.
Maybe we can christen the driveway finally.
Yeah, but we got to go do the 500 miles with the transfer. We still got that one sensor that's giving us crap, and I don't know if it's a sensor problem or a wiring problem.
Yeah.
We've only got one trouble code still bugging us, and it's until we can get the shop finished up and get it up on a lift and make sure the wiring is absolutely correct.
No point in trashing a transmission.
I don't want to buy another transmission. You know, so that's just how that is. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, with it running as nice as it's running today, I really would like to just take it out and go for a drive. Mm-hmm. But you got to find the air cleaner too. When we moved, I have no idea where the air cleaner is.
It's probably under almost everything that's in the way.
It's in the somewhere.
Yeah.
It's what everything is, right? Somewhere. Donna asked me that the other day. She said, "Well, where's the blah blah blah?" And I go, "Somewhere."
Might as well be in Narnia.
Find the wardrobe. You'll find that sucker. It's right there inside. Somewhere in Narnia.
Need to get a door and just put it on the side of the shop.
Narnia. Yeah. Through here. All right, folks. Well, that's our show for this week. Do me a favor and go ahead and check out our Patreon account at the $10 a month level. You get monthly meetings with me, and we do tech Q&A. I'll sit there and try to help you out with your tech problems, and I'll direct you in whatever direction you need to go in. Sometimes you do stump me, but most of the time I'm able to help you guys out. What we want you to do is go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notification. Make sure you click for notification to your email address so you can get everything we do. This doesn't help me so much as it helps you, because if you don't know we're putting videos up, you may miss something that you really would want to see, like a carburetor that magically starts working again. That's probably not the best analogy.
Can we just do like a short take where we do jazz hands?
I'm trying to figure out if we could actually make the float stick to show what we were talking about. But anyway, I'm not going there.
No, it's running too good to mess with it.
It's running too good to mess with it. So anyway, I guess that's it. Do me a favor, like each other, love each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time on
Autorestomod.
So,
well, what other vehicles are broken that can magically
Jiminy Christmas in this yard, what ain't broken?
Well, let's go fire up the Suburban. It'll run perfect.
Nah, it'll run for about 20 minutes and then it'll die. That's the problem I'm having with the Suburban. If you know anything about Suburbans and how to make the TBI Suburbans run
Let us know.
and stay running, because I can make it run. I just can't make it stay running. It'll run and drive for like 20 minutes and it just goes, meh, I'm done.
Peace.
Peace out, I'm finished. I quit. I want to put this back together, sort of. Because we keep moving things off of it and eventually there won't be any parts left. There should be a bowl.
Just have the bottom plate left.
You guys have a great week.
We need to let this thing sit for months at a time again, and it might fix itself completely.
Maybe we'll end up with a big block.
Yeah, come back. It's got a 460, full paint job, interior's done.
That's going to spook me out a little bit, I will tell you that, because that means it's Christine. It's kind of getting Christine-ish right now.